When viewed
from a certain point of view.
The story of the original trilogy and the prequels of Star Wars is the same story of the British Empire. What started out as a noble government, quote-unquote, with high hopes in creating a more peaceful universe was corrupted at some point and turned into a heavy-handed force of oppression, enslaving and subjugating aliens to do their bidding for being lesser than them, suppressing dissent, and then becoming so big that they became cumbersome and unfit to rule over what they had taken. Now, there was some weird stuff after the Empire was no longer the Empire, but we're going to ignore all of that because, let's be honest, it's not as cool or as cohesive a story that pays respect to the grander saga as a whole. For this video, I didn't want to focus on any single part. I wanted to tie together the broad picture of Star Wars and the history of the British Empire, and how they're more alike than what it may seem on the surface. So let's start with the Republic. By the time of the original trilogy, the Republic, as well as the Jedi, were almost legends, and despite being only decades apart from the then status quo. I believe we can draw the line in saying that we can compare the days of the Republic to the days of Arthurian literature, in that both are seen as idealized versions of the universe. The Republic and Jedi are seen as legends and idealized people and societies. Likewise, the tales of King Arthur leading a young England to glory and honor are seen as a good basis and legend for the English people. Now, the Republic lasted for a long while. We're talking millennia. It isn't until the movies where we see the Republic corrupt and start turning into the Empire ever so slowly, and then all at once. I believe we can equate this section to the first British Empire. The prequel movies were racked with politics, and actually that was what turned a lot of people off from them. However, the economy was always a big part in why the infamous Clone Wars happened. To make the war seem simple to the outsider, a group called the Confederacy of Independent States, or CIS, broke away from the Republic to try and form a better economy. It became a problem when the CIS, also known as the Separatists, used force, prompting a clone army to be built for the Republic to fight the droid army that the Separatists had built themselves. It's not a blow-for-blow comparison, but the first British Empire came about for an economic reason as well as other major factors. But for comparison's sake, let's focus on the economy. Britain had to compete with its European contemporaries so as to hold more economic power, which meant more power, period. Even though there was little open conflict, more power meant more leverage in peacetime as well. Additionally, the first British Empire, the focus was on the New World and scrambling with contemporaries over it, such as French and the Spanish powers. Similarly, the Republic was battling a force that could realistically topple it as the main power in the galaxy. Moving along, the fall of the Republic and the turn into the Galactic Empire was marked by the destruction of the CIS, among other things, and, the systematic extermination of all the Jedi. It was during this stage where the Chancellor of the Republic, Sheev Palpatine, announced himself Emperor and consolidated power to himself, still keeping the Republic Senate, but greatly weakening them. By destroying the contemporary of itself, the Empire had effectively secured itself as the greatest power in the galaxy, with no one who could go blow for blow in a fair battle. We can compare the rise of the Empire to the Second British Empire in that Britain had become one of the most prominent imperial powers at the time, and a lot less focus was spent on directly competing with its European contemporaries, but keeping a hold of its assets. It's at this stage in the story where the role of rebels became a lot more apparent. Alien cultures did not like the human-centric, and in the case of the British, English-centric system that was pushed upon them. Cultures of aliens were treated as second-rate, and aliens were seen more as tools than contemporaries. Eventually, people got fed up, and resistances cropped up. The Sepoy Rebellion in India, the Free Ryloth movement of the Twi'leks, the list goes on between the real world and that of Star Wars. And that's where most of the surface similarities stop. In Star Wars, the Empire was toppled by the Galactic Civil War and the destruction of the Death Star 2. For the British Empire, World War I and World War II significantly weakened the Empire and empowered native populations, which eventually broke away and fractured the British Empire until the British Empire was merely a shadow of its former self. In the chronological timeline of Star Wars, the Galactic Empire is no more, and today only traces of the British Empire are left about, and perhaps there are more similarities than differences between the two empires. The story of the British Empire and that of the Galactic Empire are rather similar in tale and composition. Both came from idealized thoughts, but ended far away from these ideals. And as the old adage goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Thanks for watching. In Star Wars, the British Empire was toppled... Hold on, let me redo that. I'm gonna wait a second for that to go. I live next to a fire station. Okay. Alright, okay. Alright.